So before I get started on the slot that I'm going to share with you today, I just feel that I want to share with you who I am and my background. And I'm not going to do my traditional story, what I normally do, which is like a BP type story for prospects. I'm actually going to tell you more about who I am, the real me, and what has brought me here today. I'm just a mom. I just forgot the clicker, sorry. Right, so there's nothing super special about me, and I think what I want to actually achieve more than anything today, obviously, other than sharing the main slot with you, is to show you that anybody can build a business with forever. There's nothing super special about me. I've just worked hard to get to where I am today. So I started my forever journey 4.5 years ago, and if I'm going the right way with the slides, that's my beautiful family. And they are my why. And I'm not going to look at the picture, actually, because I'm just filling up already. And they are my everything. They are what I get up for in the morning, and they're what I go to bed for at night. And they are what keep me going. Now, going back to when I left school, I didn't leave with any super qualifications. I got GCSEs, and they were okay. I was going to stay on, but I dropped out. So I dropped out of my A-levels. And I found myself going from one job to another. The one thing that my mum always instilled in me was to work hard. And I had 2 weeks of just lying in bed, and then she came in one morning and says, you get out and you don't come back until you get a job. So I actually went out and I spent the day searching for a job, and I got one, 3 bus rides away from our home for £28 a week as a YTS. It was rubbish, but I'd got a job. And from that day onwards, I've always worked. And I won't say I've had the easiest jobs, I won't say I've had the best jobs, but I've always worked. Breathe. So, where did that lead me? I got in a relationship from school, and I just thought that life was always going to be rosy. I got married, we had a house, and we was going to have a family. And all I ever wanted to be was a mom. Can I just tell you, I'm telling you this story not because I want sympathy. I want to inspire somebody enough to think, actually, yeah, if she can do it, I can. So don't give me sympathy. Right, so life was a little bit difficult when it came to us having a family. I could get pregnant, but I had trouble keeping the babies. So I actually lost my first baby through a miscarriage, and then my second baby I lost at 6 months. And that was the hardest part of my life. And then I was really, really fortunate to go on to have my beautiful daughter Alice, who's in the audience today, who I'm super, super proud of. And she's 21 in November. But once I'd got Alice, I felt like my life was complete. I didn't know what else there was out there. And I'd been with Alice's dad for a large number of years, and we'd kind of outgrown each other. He wasn't a bad man, but we'd just literally had drifted apart and outgrown each other with everything that we'd been through. So unfortunately that marriage ended, but that led me on to working evenings around Alice. She was 2 years old, and I worked as a HR manager, or worked my way up to being a HR manager for a major supermarket. I loved the job, I loved the training, the development and the recruiting of people, but the hours were antisocial. I used to have to work Christmases, I used to have to work late night shifts, early morning, and Alice was constantly having to be sent off to childcare. And it was just totally the opposite of that stay-at-home mum that I wanted to be, but I couldn't afford to be. So I took the opportunity, as soon as I was able to start my own business. That meant I could actually be there for her and build my business around her. So I started, first of all, in a little shop, my own little mini Clintons, and I absolutely adored that shop. It enabled me to be able to lock that door up and walk away to take her to school and go and fetch her at the end of school, and she used to sit behind the counter with me. Through my work, I actually then got involved in another relationship, which I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail, but it was a total disaster. But the best thing that came out of that relationship was my son, Joseph. I had actually lost another baby as well, just before having Joseph. So, all I ever wanted to do was be that mom, but I just found it so difficult. So when I had got my children, I just wanted to be with them all of the time and spend that time with them. So I decided to sell my shop and work from home. So I took my other side of my business, which was events planning and events decoration, because I could run that from home. And I did that successfully for 12 years. And I loved that job, or that business. It was a nice, happy environment to be in. But the work was seasonal, and so the income was capped, and it was irregular. And so I was constantly robbing Peter to pay Paul, and just, to be honest, running up loads and loads of debts on credit cards, loans and overdrafts. During my journey, and after my last rubbish marriage, I actually met Ian. Third time lucky, that's what he keeps telling me anyway. And from being with Ian, we've actually then went on to have another little girl, Maisie, who's just coming up to 5 years old. And Ian's also, as you can see in the picture there, Kieran, who's in between Alice and Joseph, who's 16 years old, and that's Ian's son from a previous marriage. So I have got a beautiful family, and I feel so proud of them and so blessed to be with them. And they are why I build my business and why I am so focused and won't let nobody take this opportunity away from me. And the reason I actually stress on that is when as I said, I run up a load of debt. I wanted to live the lifestyle and give those kids everything, but I couldn't actually afford it. And so I run up loads of debts on those credit cards, loans and overdrafts, and I was just struggling. I got this 4-month-old baby, or like a newborn baby in Maisie, and didn't know how on earth I was going to be able to continue living the way that we were. Ian was working 60-odd hours a week. He was hardly ever home. He had to work away an awful lot. And when he came home, Maisie hardly knew him. And I remember him saying to me one day, "She doesn't like me." She screamed every time I handed her over. And I said, "It's not that she doesn't like you, she doesn't know you." And, those were really tough times for us. Obviously, you can see there's a load of us, and we lived in a 3-bedroom semi. We were cramped. And, you just can't imagine life being any different. You just kind of accept your lot, and you don't think it's ever going to change. That was where we were. So 4.5 years ago, it was coming up to the end of October of 2011, and Christmas was looming. Got birthdays, we've got loads of birthdays at the end of the year as well. And it was like, where on earth is the money going to come from? I tried to apply for yet another credit card and got declined. Surprise, surprise. And I just broke down. I could not keep going on the way that we were. And at that point, as I always believe that forever comes into your life when you need it. And I strongly believe that with most people. And it was a chance conversation with my neighbour at the time, Faye Daly, and she basically was telling me about her business that she'd just started, which was enabling her to work around her son. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to have a look at it, because if I could just earn just £200 extra a month to help pay those minimum credit card bill payments, it's just going to make my life more comfortable. So I had a look. £200 panicked me because I hadn't really got it, but I'd got £200 left on my business overdraft. So I just bought it and thought about panicking later. Ian came home from work that night and there's a box there of products. And to say he was a little bit annoyed was an understatement, because there's me moaning we got no money and I've just spent £200 on a pack of products. But what I didn't do was I didn't give him the opportunity to see the business, because it was when Faye showed me the marketing plan that the business excited me. That was taking me back to my recruiting days, my training and my development days, and that's what really, really excited me. Did I want to talk to anybody? No. Did I want to sell any products to anybody or go to any trainings? No. But like Faye said, well, what are you going to do then? I got added onto some Facebook pages, and I suppose the intrigue in me actually inspired me to take that deeper look. I saw people excited and positive. I'd been so negative. I'd lived a life of negativity for probably about 10 years. After everything that I'd been through in my past, I'd let it really, really make me reach rock bottom. My confidence was just shot to pieces. But I was all suddenly seeing loads of happy, clappy people, and I actually quite liked it. They was all talking about this success day that they'd been to and how amazing it was. I thought, oh, I better go to one of them. It looks quite good. I'll go and have a little nose. And I came along to my first success day, and to say I was just blown away. Rabbit in headlights. Anybody feel like that if it's your first time? It's a bit like, wow, what have I come into? But it was that gave me the belief. It was that made me hear people's stories and think, you know what, if they can do it, then why can't I? And it was that made me go out there then and decide that nothing and nobody was going to take this opportunity of a great future for my children. Now, like I say, Ian wasn't too happy. We often say he was sceptical, but he tells me that's the wrong word. He wasn't sceptical because he hadn't even seen it, so he didn't even know what he was sceptical about. But what he was seeing me do was working lots of extra hours instead of sitting next to him on the sofa or falling asleep while we're watching a film. He saw me working hard, and initially probably not bringing in a huge amount of money. He didn't see the commission I was earning, that was going in my purse. He just saw my small bonus recaps, which initially were like 30 quid, 50 pounds, 70 pounds. And he was like, really, is it worth it? We were just talking about this earlier, and I said, well, so if I'm not going to call you sceptical, what shall I call you? And we said, so unsupportive. He wasn't supportive for 6 months. But then I actually think that's a bit harsh on him. He was supportive. He would do the babysitting for me when I wasn't there and I was at Success Days. But I think what it really was, it just caused a lot of problems, a lot of arguments. He just couldn't see that bigger picture. And it made me laugh hearing Paul's story yesterday when he said he'd gone along to a meeting and he refused to stand up when Bob walked into the room. That was exactly Ian. We'd gone to a training event, he was sat there like this, and I was like, Bob Parker, clap! And he's like, well, I'm not clapping, I don't know who Bob Parker is. By the end of that 3-day event, he was up there clapping with everybody. And that, he says, was his turning point in the business. And I could stand here and talk about amazing things that we've actually achieved within this business. We've ticked off practically everything, all the incentives that Forever have to offer. And it has totally, totally changed our lives. But last night, we was just asked quickly to share what achieving chairman's bonus has actually meant for us. Now, this is the part where if I cry, don't feel sorry for me. Basically, chairman's bonus we've achieved 3 years running now. And obviously the cheques have grown year on year, and it's absolutely been life-changing for us. Thank you. But what those cheques have done, they've enabled us to move house from that cramped 3-bedroom semi into an incredible 7-bedroomed house in the middle of the countryside. So Maisie hasn't got to go to school and tell her friends that she shares a bedroom with Mommy and Daddy, which was a dread of mine that she'd get bullied for. Also, we've been able to get debt-free. We're no longer in debt up to our eyeballs. We've actually got some savings in the bank now, which was something that we never ever thought we'd have. But it's the choices that all of this has given us. Obviously, we've got an incredible income, but the cheques, the income, everything wouldn't be possible without our incredible team. So I'm going to give a huge shout out to the Lifestyle Group. Woo! Without you guys, we wouldn't be stood here today. We wouldn't have been able to change our lives, and we wouldn't have had those choices and the time. Ian was able to sack his boss in his corporate role 3.5 years ago now. He works the business full time, and to be honest, he's probably more forever through and through than even I am. So, anybody who has got somebody who's sceptical or being unsupportive or just doesn't get it, like you've heard already off other speakers, keep at it. Just ignore them. Just say, just watch me, just keep there. And you will get there, and you will get them on board with you along the way. So, I did it without crying too much.